Hey guys, thank you so much for clicking on today's video. My name is Annalise and this is my channel where we get planty with it. So today we're going to be talking about how to care for Marantas. I have two different Marantas, a variegated one and a silver band Maranta. So I'm going to go through all the aspects of how I care for them and get them to grow big and beautiful. So if that sounds like something you're interested, definitely stay tuned. So first up, I just want to show you my two Maranta. Here is the first one. This is a variegated Maranta Lucanura, if that's how you say it. She has really, really beautiful foliage. As you can see, there is variegation on it. So this one has some kind of yellow, green variegation. There are some that have more white variegation, like this leaf here, this leaf as well. So it's a really beautiful plant. Every new leaf that comes out is exciting and it grows so quickly. As you can see, here's a new leaf getting ready to unfurl. Here's another one. There's a bunch all over the plant getting ready to unfurl. So let's start off with watering. So I've noticed that this plant, along with Calathea, are pretty sensitive to the type of water I use. So with both of my Marantas, I try to use only distilled water. Now I realize that's not easily accessible to everybody. I purchased a water distiller, which most people I'm sure don't have or don't want to get. So I think you can use tap water, but I noticed when I did use tap water, it did cause some more brown tips. Of course, that's not the end of the world. Your plant can still grow successfully even using tap water. I just noticed for me that the distilled water helps a little bit with that issue. Also, in terms of watering, I've noticed these plants do like to stay pretty moist. So at all times, I make sure the soil has some level of moisture in it. When they dry out, again, they will start getting brown and crispy, and obviously you want to avoid that. So definitely a plant to keep moist and water a little bit more frequently than you'd water your other plants. Next up, in terms of fertilizing, I fertilize this plant how I fertilize all my plants that are living in soil, which is with liquid earth. So I have this water solution that has a liquid earth mixed in, and I just water all of my plants with this water every single time that I water them, especially in the growing season. So all throughout the summer, this plant's getting fertilized, and then occasionally throughout the winter if it's still throwing out new growth. Basically, as long as the plant is growing, you want to make sure you're fertilizing. In terms of light, I've noticed that my two Maranta need different levels of light. So this is my variegated Maranta, as I said. I also have this Maranta here, which is a silver band Maranta, named for the silver band going down the center of the foliage. So obviously this plant is living in leca, so the care is a little bit different. Most of the care that I'm talking about today will apply more readily to my plants living in soil or Marantas living in soil. But I've noticed that this plant actually likes a little bit less light than my other Maranta. When I did have it in a higher light setting, the leaves started getting really washed out and kind of yellowing. So I moved it to less light and it's been doing better since then. Whereas my other Maranta is sitting pretty close to a grow light and it seems to really, really love that. So I think the care can change between Marantas. So make sure that you test your Maranta in different locations and see where it thrives the most. So in terms of humidity, I've noticed that my Maranta do seem to like higher humidity, although that's not the end all be all. I do have this little Maranta that I took from cuttings from my larger Maranta, and it sits in my living room, which has 47% room humidity, and it's doing okay. It's not, maybe thriving as much as the other one. I'm not seeing as much new growth. Actually, I'm not seeing any new growth. But it doesn't seem to be dying. It's not really crisping up significantly. However, this Maranta, the one that's really growing in so many places, is sitting in a higher humidity setting, and that does seem to encourage growth and just help it grow more quickly and healthily. So the next category I want to talk about is soil. I will do a video on how I mix my soil, or I do make a couple amendments for the soil that my Maranta live in. I do make their soil a little bit less well draining. Usually I have a super chunky soil mix with orchid bark, perlite, charcoal, and ingredients like that. But for my Maranta, I'll put a little bit more. I'll take my regular soil mix and then put a little bit more potting mix in there just to make it retain moisture a little bit better. Because as I said, they do like to stay moist. So having a little bit of a less well-draining soil can be helpful for these plants. And then lastly, onto my favorite category about Marantas, one thing I really, really enjoy about them is how to propagate them. So they're super easy to propagate. I talked a little bit about it in my Propagate With Me video I posted a few months ago, but I will do a quick demo here. So basically, if you want to propagate, you want to cut at a node, and nodes do look different on Maranta than on Philodendron and Monstera. So basically this little, these little bumps that are in between that are on the stem, this bump's one of them, this another, those are nodes. So you want to make sure when you're cutting that you have a node. So I'll take a cutting from this guy now because I'm going to a plant exchange next week, and I think it'd be good to have a cutting of this to maybe swap with somebody. I think I'll take a cutting from this long vine because it's getting a little bit crazy. So let me try to show you where I'm going to cut. I'm basically gonna cut actually at the node I just showed, so right below this knuckle here. So let's see if I can get this on camera. Perfect. So here is the cutting I just took. As you can see, there's a node right there, and there's actually a few more nodes. So if I wanted to make this a few cuttings, I could. Actually, maybe I will cut it one more time, just to make it into 2 cuttings. So I'm gonna cut below this node now in this little internodal space here. Great. Okay, so now I have 2 cuttings, and these guys root up so quickly and they're so easy. So typically to root these up, I will just stick it in a container of water and leave it. That's literally it. I'll show you a propagation I have going from my silver band Maranta. So here's a propagation I currently have going from my silver band Maranta. So it's been here probably about a few weeks, maybe a month, and as you can see, the roots are insane. I would pot this guy up, but I'm actually doing a trade with him on Friday, so I'm just leaving him in water so she can have him all rooted up. So that's what they look like when they root up. I really just stick it in water. Honestly, for now, I will just put these guys in the same exact container, and they should root up perfectly. So that's pretty much it on how I care for my Marantas. I know when I first started collecting plants, I was a little bit intimidated because I heard they need really high humidity and they were sensitive to water. But after taking care of them, they're actually not that challenging. Really, as long as you're keeping the soil moist and you try to keep them in a humid environment, they'll do well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video, hopefully it's helpful, and maybe you'll add some Marantas to your wish list. If you have any Maranta care tips, definitely leave them in the comments down below. I definitely want to expand my Maranta collection because I love them and I love propagating them and trading them and sharing them with people. So I'm hoping to grow that collection. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If there's other types of care guides that you want me to make, definitely leave a comment down below, especially if it's a plant that you've seen that I already have. Definitely let me know and I can make another video like this for that plant. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching and have a good one. Bye-bye.